Good evening, and welcome to Bach Aria Soloist Virtual Concert Notes and Letters. We're so happy that you joined us tonight. And if you'd like to follow along in the program, it's on our website, bachariasoloist.com. We just want to give you a deeper glimpse into the voice of the composers behind the music that we'll be performing. So it takes a lot for the virtual concert to take place. And I would like to start off by thanking these wonderful musicians, Hannah Collins, Sora Pak, and I'm Elizabeth Salane. And then we have some fabulous actors with us tonight, Justin Barron and Eliza Lynn, who you will see later on in the concert. We also need to thank the 1900 building for providing this wonderful space for all of us, Steve Carbank and Jennifer Davidner, and the technology behind the scenes. That takes a lot of work. So we thank Larry Brewer, videographer, Ian Corbett on sound, and Pam Knutson with lighting. We also need to thank Kansas Public Radio for their generous support of tonight's concert. And thank you all for joining us. And now, notes and letters.
"7 a.m., April, 1789, Dresden. Dearest little wife, if only I had a letter from you. If I were to tell you all the things I do with your dear portrait, you would often laugh, I think. For instance, when I take it out of its case, I say, 'Good morrow, stanza. Good day, little rogue. Pussy-wussy, saucy one. Good for nothing. Dainty morsel.' And then when I put it back, I slip it in little by little, saying all the time, 'No, no, no, no.' With just a peculiar emphasis this very meaningful word demands. And then, just at the last, quickly, 'Good night, little pet. Sleep sound.' Well, I suppose that what I write is folly, to the world at least. But to us, loving each other as devotedly as we do, it is not folly. Today is the 6th since I left you. By God, it seems like a year. I expect you will often find it hard to read my letters as I write in haste, and therefore rather badly. Oh, Addie, my dear, my only love, the carriage is here. And that does not mean, bravo, the carriage is there. But farewell, and love me forever as I love thee. A million tenderest kisses to thee. I am ever thy tenderly loving husband, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Mozart writes to his father, April 1787, Vienna. Monsieur mon très cher Paris, among other matters, I asked you whether you had received my last letter, but as you make no reference to it at all, it was the second one sent from Prague, I do not know what to think. It is quite likely that some servant of Count Thune's took it into his head to pocket the postage money. I would rather pay double the postage than suspect that my letters have fallen into the wrong hands. I gathered from yours that you were, thank God, in very good health, but now I hear that you are really ill. I am sure I need not tell you how greatly I long for reassuring news from you. Indeed, I expect it, even though I have accustomed myself to contemplate the worst on all occasions. Since death, when we come to consider it, is seen to be the true goal of our life, I have made acquaintance during these last few years with this best and truest friend of mankind, so that his image not only no longer has any terrors for me, but suggests, on the contrary, much that is reassuring and consoling. And I thank my God for blessing me with the opportunity, you understand me, of coming to recognize him as the key to our true blessedness. I never lie down on my bed without reflecting, young as I am, I may never perhaps see another day. And yet, not one of those who know me can say that I am morose or sad among my fellows. For this blessing I daily thank my Creator and wish with all my heart that my fellow men may share it. I hope, I wish, while I write you, that you are getting better, but should you, against all expectation, be no better, I beg you will not conceal it from me, but tell me, or have me told, the whole truth, so that I can come with all human speed to your arms. I conjure you, by all that is sacred to both of us. Yet, I hope soon to get a reassuring letter from you, and in this happy expectation, I, with my wife and Carl, kiss your hands 1,000 times and remain ever your most obedient son, W. A. Mozart. Karl Philipp Emanuel Bach about his father, Johann Sebastian Bach, post-mortem. No one has ever tried out organs so severely, and yet at the same time, honestly, as he. He understood the whole art of organ building in the highest degree. When an organ builder worked conscientiously and incurred losses by his work, he would persuade the employers to make amends. No one understood registration at the organ as well as he. Organists were often terrified when he sat down to play at the organ and drew out the stops in his own manner. But then, they gradually heard an effect that astounded them. He would say in jest, "Above all, I must know whether the organ has good lungs." And to find out, he would draw out every speaking stop and play in the fullest and richest possible texture. At this, the organ builder would grow pale with fright. The exact tuning of his instruments, as well as the whole orchestra, had his greatest attention. No one could tune and quill his instruments to please him. He did everything himself. The placing of an orchestra, he understood perfectly. He made good use of any space. He grasped at first glance any peculiarity of a room. He heard the slightest wrong note and even the largest combinations. As the greatest expert and judge of harmony, he liked best to play the viola with appropriate loudness, softness. In his youth and in the approach of old age, he played the violin cleanly and penetratingly, and thus kept the orchestra in better order than he could have done with harpsichord. He understood to perfect the possibilities of all stringed instruments. This is evidenced by his solos for the violin and violoncello without bass. One of the greatest violinists told me once that he had seen nothing so perfect for anyone eager to learn than the said violin solos without bass. If ever a composer showed polyphony in its greatest strength, it was certainly our late lamented Bach. If ever a musician employed the most hidden secrets of harmony with the most skilled artistry, it was certainly our Bach. No one has ever shown so many ingenious and unusual ideas as he, in elaborate pieces such as ordinarily seem dry exercises in craftsmanship. He needed only to have heard any theme to be aware, it seemed, in the same instant of almost every intricacy artistry could produce in the treatment of it. His constant practice at the working out of polyphonic pieces had given his eye such facility that even in the largest scores, he could take in all the simultaneously sounding parts at a glance. His hearing was so fine, he could detect the slightest error in even the largest of ensembles. It is but a pity it was only seldom he had the good fortune of finding a body of such performers as could have saved him under unpleasant discoveries of this nature. So long can we not be blamed if we are bold enough to declare that our Bach was the greatest organist and clavier player we have ever had. It may be many a famous man accomplishes much in polyphony upon this instrument. Is he therefore just as skillful at both hands and feet, just as skillful as Bach was? And anyone who looks at his organ and clavier pieces, oh, how strange, how new, how expressive, how beautiful for his ideas in improvising, how perfectly he realized them. All his fingers were equally skillful, all were equally capable of the most perfect accuracy in performance. (1934), Hotel Stadt Hamburg in Lübeck. Paul Hindemith writes to Willy Strecker, his publisher, close friend, and owner of Shock Music. London was good in every way, apart from the report of our old friend Newman, who in fact only gave away fabrication secrets from my manufactory and came to the pithy conclusion that the existing 12 notes of the scale offered combinations enough, and it was quite impossible to understand why a second-class German composer should not produce this and other pieces like anyone else. That is what is called common sense. The reception by the audience was good, though admittedly it consisted mainly of immigrants. We made a large number of gramophone recordings, the whole of my trio, Beethoven string trio, Simon Goldberg and I, a Mozart duo, my solo violin sonata, cello sonata as well. And because we were one side short, a duo for viola and cello, which I wrote in the morning, between 5 and 8, before the recording, and which we then served up capitally. The recordings were an awful sweat. I played my fingers into blood blisters and even exposed a nerve on one finger, which makes playing particularly pleasant. Quite a lot is going on in Berlin. I am still conferring with all sorts of higher-ups in the Arbeitsfront. The outcome will be that I shall make suggestions for a very far-reaching musical education system for German people. And if things continue as they have and people continue to show goodwill towards me, I hope to provide the impetus for vast plans and to cooperate in putting them into effect. I did not show any enthusiasm for a kind of propaganda concert Haverman wanted to promote, because I am very much against seeing my music constantly used as a cover for one bungler after another, and altogether against always presenting contemporary music separately, as if it was something extravagant and off the beaten track. They come creeping up from all sides, but I am in favor of selling my carcass dear.
1833, Clara, at 14 years, writes to Robert Schumann. Dear Herr Schumann, with great difficulty, I have at last, with mother's help, made out your letter, and at once sit down to answer you. I am very sorry that you have been so shaken by the fever, and all the more since I learned that you are not allowed to drink any Bavarian beer, a prohibition which I'm sure you find very difficult to agree to. You want to know if I am alive? Well, you may tell that by the number of compliments I have sent you already. To be sure, I do not know if they have been delivered, but I hope so. How I live, you can easily think for yourself. How can I live happily when you no longer come to see us? As to your request, I will grant it, and shall find myself at 11 o'clock tomorrow over the Little Thomas Fortune. I finished my doppelganger chorus and have added a third part to it. To my great sorrow, I cannot write a longer letter, as I have much to do. Please, write to me again. From her heart there wishes you a quick recovery. Clara Wieck. Dear Herr Schumann, here, August 1st, 1833. Sorry as I am to have dedicated the following trifle to you, and as much as I wished not to see the variations printed, yet the evil has come to pass now and cannot be altered. Therefore I ask pardon for the enclosed. Your able recasting of this little musical thought will make good my mistakes, and so I beg for this, for I can hardly wait to make its better acquaintance. You will see by the title of my romance that my double is not forgotten, though I have not summoned him. How can it be inferred from this that his influence makes my doppelganger more promising? Now, be quick and get out of doors so that you can come and see us, especially as Kragen is coming tomorrow. I hope Kragen's presence will cure you of your fever. Friendliest greetings from Clara Wieck. Oh, Kragen has just come.
1853, young Brahms writes to his inspiring teacher, Robert Schumann, "You have made me so extremely happy that I cannot attempt to express my thanks in words. May God grant that my works will soon be able to prove to you how much your love and kindness have uplifted and inspired me. The open praise that you bestowed upon me has probably excited expectations of the public to such a degree that I do not know how I can come anywhere near fulfilling them. Above all, it induces me to use extreme caution in selecting pieces for publication. I contemplate issuing none of my trios and assigning sonatas as Opus 1 and 2. Of course, you understand that I strive with all my might to cause you as little embarrassment as possible." A year later, Brahms writes to Clara Schumann, "Even I, before I knew you, imagined that such people as you and such marriages as yours existed in the imaginations of the rarest people. People do not deserve that you too, Robert and Clara, should be on this earth at all. I almost wish the world in general might forget you, so that you can remain all the more sacred."
Clara writes to children about Robert and Brahms. "You hardly knew your dear father. You were still too young to feel deep grief, and thus in those terrible years you could give me no comfort. Hope, indeed, you could bring me, but it was not enough to support me through such agony. Then came Johannes Brahms. Your father loved and admired him as he did no man except the violinist Joseph Joachim. He came, like a true friend, to share in all my sorrow. He strengthened the heart that threatened to break. He uplifted my mind. He cheered my spirit whenever and wherever he could. In short, he was my friend in the fullest sense of the word."
"I would gladly write to you only by means of music, but I have things I wish to say to you today which music could not express."
"But I am often mightily captivated by the wealth of your genius, that you always seem to be one on whom heaven has showered its fairest gifts, and that I love you and honor you for so many magnificent qualities. All this is true, my dearest Johannes, and has taken deep root in my heart. So do not try to kill it all in me with your cold philosophizing. It is impossible."
After 40 years of faithful service, or whatever you care to call my relationship with you, it is very hard to be merely another unhappy experience. But after all, this can be borne. I am accustomed to loneliness, and will need to be with the prospect of this great blank before me.
"I have always considered myself so fortunate to be able to be to you a friend who understands you, and who's in a position to recognize your value as a musician and as a man.
Let me repeat to you today that you and your husband constitute the most beautiful experience of my life, and represent all that is richest and most noble in it.